What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Trapper channel, coming to you with a Tuesday NBA Cup final game edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a proud center for great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. The last games of group play coming your way this week, and then we go to Vegas, we get to play tournaments, we get to do all this wild card madness and whatever else. We'll get into the ins and outs of that, but for the time being, it is Tuesday. We've got 11 games to break down, so we no time to dilly-dally. It's time to fly, but we extended this because it's Cyber Monday. I almost said Black Friday again, but it's Cyber Monday after all. 60% off using code Lindy60 right now down at the link below. It is now active until midnight on Tuesday, 9 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday. If you want to take advantage, if you want to join the Discord where NBA tried to kill me today, but we ended up on some player props that I think are pretty positive EV. They're in that Brooklyn Nets situation. Peyton Pritchard's just setting the world on fire for the Pick'em streets. Feel pretty good about a lot of the good things that we threw out there. Plus, Lindy60, it has been printing in the NFL streets. Hopefully we can keep that going. Javonte Williams touchdown. Wouldn't you know it? That seems good. Can we get the yardage now? That's what matters in the NFL streets. But I'm here to record 11 games in the NBA streets. If you want to join Lindy60, without further ado, producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. We begin our tour with Philly, 4.5, 5. We're depending on where you're looking here for Charlotte. Charlotte on this side, and gotta say, it's gonna be weird having no Joel Embiid, but Paul George out there. He's off the injury report. Caleb Martin out there off the injury report. Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre, and now Jared McCain. All of that hot hand stuff. He is sent to the shadow realm. Didn't play a lot of minutes last time out. Also had like zero usage last time out. I'm very curious to see how that progresses. But with Charlotte on the other side, 3 major pieces of news. No Trey Mann, no Miles Bridges, no LaMelo Ball. Wouldn't you know it? Vasilij Micic has now played 31 and 34 minutes the last 2 games, and his assist rate is absurd when you look at it here with both of those guys off the floor. We're talking 134-minute sample size this season, 35.1% assist rate. I mean, what in the absolute world? He has to be an assist ladder candidate with those kind of numbers. 35% assist rate against the 76ers in a game that should be semi-competitive. We have a lot of large wide spreads on this slate. Vasilij Micic, assist ladder question mark. Might be looking at double-double, might be looking at plus 10. Not sure yet, but I definitely think he's the guy who pops the most in my modeling based on historical prop numbers. Washington, 15.5 that they are getting going into Cleveland. Wouldn't you know it? I've got that kind of close to being a play on the Washington side. It sucks. But we targeted Cleveland back-to-back times there with Atlanta. Cleveland's getting a lot of respect for a team that doesn't play defense in the backcourt with Donovan Mitchell and with Darius Garland to some extent. Isaac Okoro is out there, though, playing more minutes. And, well, Isaac Okoro being healthy doesn't sound great because he's not a great offensive player. But from a defensive perspective, looks a lot better when you're taking on Jordan Poole, Malcolm Brogdon, Bilal Coulibaly, Alexander Sarr, and now Jonas Valanciunas. I'd be surprised if he didn't start against Cleveland. I will be paying very close attention to his double-double numbers and props and how they drop tomorrow. It is NBA Cup. Again, both of these teams, not really to talk about. We'll get into some NBA Cup stuff with the next one, but under 236.5, just going to be a lean. Nothing's really standing out in this game. I lied. I talked about Jonas Valanciunas. I very much am interested in that, but I don't have the numbers. Very curious, though, where books open that. Finally, NBA Cup stuff that matters. Wouldn't you know it? We somehow, some way, have a 3-0 Milwaukee Bucks team in the NBA Cup taking on a 3-0 Detroit Pistons team in the NBA Cup. Final game of this group. Both have a very good chance of being wildcard additions. Now, Orlando and New York, the Knickerbockers there, they're sitting there with 3-0 records. So point differential will matter. New York's at plus 15, Detroit plus 28, Milwaukee plus 29. I still think this game gets played pretty hard straight up. And I will say Detroit has lost 10 consecutive here to the Milwaukee side. Not something that I generally throw into my analysis because I don't really care. But I think that highlights, even with Cade Cunningham back in action here and expected off the injury report entirely for Detroit. Still nervous. Giannis Antetokounmpo did not practice on Monday, but I think he's good to go. He's listed as probable for Tuesday, so I think you have to give him a little bit of respect here. And I think you got to give Milwaukee minus 3.5 the nod. I mean, this is kind of a nuts little situation. Both these teams, it will be an extremely competitive game, but how do you not take Giannis and Damian Lillard in a spot like this going up against Cade Cunningham and a cast-off of, what am I trying to say? a mix of cast-offs. There you go. Tobias Harris sent to the Shadow Realm from Philly. Jalen Duren, we know how much we love him on this program, although I've only made one bet on him all season long. That was wild when I went through my Excel spreadsheet for that in my bet tracker. But Milwaukee, minus 3.5. I like it. I don't love it. I don't want any more of it than half a unit. Orlando at New York, and this is kind of push-pull, not really sure what to make of it because we are seeing minutes pretty solidified for Goga Batadze, who I'm so confused why he wasn't getting the majority of minutes in the first place when it came to last season. When you're talking Franz Wagner alongside his brother Mo Wagner, I get it. Jonathan Isaac got healthier come playoff time, and Wendell Carter Jr. is a guy who exists. He will continue to exist and probably will see more and more minutes, although 26 and 28 minutes, they are playing them alongside of each other. I mean, when you play 26 and 28 and then you have 27-32, there are ways that you'll see both of them on the floor. However, I'm worried about these New York Knicks on the other side because it's Karl-Anthony Towns there at the 5. Now, he got done playing alongside Rudy Gobert as a 4 a lot of times, although he's playing the 5 exclusively with OG Anunoby there at the 4 for the New York Knicks. They all play 40-plus minutes. We know how Thibodeau does his thing, but I do think Karl-Anthony Towns is bettable at 35.5 points plus rebounds, even at this kind of a number up against an Orlando team that, one, will not push the pace, and two, has a really good defensive center. This is all about modeling it out. And 42 minutes of Karl-Anthony Towns, which you're going to get in a lot of neutral game scripts. This is also an Orlando and New York side. I brought this up earlier. They're both 3-0, and Orlando is destroying in point differential. So New York will put their foot down. You might see all the minutes for Josh Hart and Karl-Anthony Towns out there. 35.5 P plus R. I like it at minus 115 on Bet365. Damn good find. Why don't you suck it to me one more time? Indy at Toronto. This is a really tough one to get a grasp on what we're supposed to do here. Indiana, they're 0-3. Toronto 0-3 in the NBA Cup, so nothing that we have to worry about from that perspective. But obviously, all these games count towards the regular season. And Indy, this counts big time for them as they get Andrew Nembhard questionable in the injury report. I want to bet this. If I knew he was going to play, I would be firing this up knowing that Ben Shepherd and Aaron Nesmith are both out for this game. I think you got to be looking at 9.5 points for Nembhard based on what we saw last season in the postseason, but kind of want to get confirmation that he's in. If you're putting this in a parlay, obviously know that it has a chance of being voided, but I'm going to sit back, relax. I don't want to force any kind of a thin plan 11 gamer. We'll have plenty of exposure later. Such as here, we've got Utah at OKC, and I have a couple of props that I want to keep you glued to when it comes to Utah at OKC. First off, the injury news. We got Colin Sexton in, Keontae George in, Jordan Clarkson going to continue to be out. I think against an OKC team with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Cason Wallace, this is a spot we could maybe fire up a couple of these guards to go over some threes. Now, they've shot the ball pretty poorly overall. Colin Sexton, meh. What team even wants to go out and get him here at the moment? But Alex Caruso out for one more game. Sounds like he'll be back at the tail end of this week. Well, it's good to miss Alex Caruso there if you're those Utah guards because defensively he's an absolute wagon. But got to tell you, OKC is where I'm leaning in terms of this game, but props on both sides of this. The 3-pointers for Keontae George, Colin Sexton. Want to see where they drop about the 1.5 for Sexton, 2.5 for Keontae. Would like to see this inside of minus 120 for both of those. And then on the other side, Isaiah Hartenstein, points plus rebounds plus assists. It's trailed up from 22.5 to like 25.5 here recently, but in one of these spots where, Utah on the other side, you get a Walker Kessler, a true center on the other side. 34 minutes for Isaiah Hartenstein, not out of the question, day in, day out. Oh, does he look nice, but so does 14.5 OKC. Can't believe I didn't bet this because I got this closer to 16, but it's a high variance spot when you're talking this kind of a spread, 237 total. I think we can do a little bit better coming up later. But before we get there, 60% off using code Lindy60 down at the link below. Would love to see you there in that Discord. Again, we extended this to Tuesday at midnight, 9 p.m. Pacific time. Had a lot of people saying, hey, Eric, I want to jump into the Discord, or I was having issues signing up for this, or how do I get your picks? I want you all to be familiar with how it works. And in the NBA, obviously keep those noties on because there's tons of injury news that has been lingering across the industry. And I will alert you. I sent in everyone text to be on the lookout for those props when they drop from the Brooklyn side. Hopefully we can get a couple of those to come to fruition. Looks good in the early going. Plus, again, Peyton Pritchard in the pick'em streets. Oh, boy, he's setting the world on fire. But Would love to see you there. Lindy 60, that's $8 for a week of me, $20 for a month of me, down at that Discord. Love to see you there. Alrighty, y'all, back to the picks we go. Memphis at Dallas. God, this is another game that just so much back and forth in my modeling. I do have the Mavericks at 5. I do think that this is a advantageous spot to potentially look at them, but all the props that pop for me are on the Memphis side. And when there's this push and pull going on and you have Klay Thompson questionable, Derek Lively, we know his defensive pedigree, that is questionable as well. I think we should just wait for that news to come in before we fire up Dallas -4. If it's not going to be -4 there, I'm okay passing. We'll have plenty of prop exposure in that Discord. And hey, if you hit me up on X at Eric Lindquist, ERIC, C for correct, that is LINDQUIST, would be happy to let you know what I end up betting. But I think at this point in time, John Morant double-double looks the most interesting. When you get him back in the fray, not the band, the basketball game, Desmond Bane, he'll start shooting it better. Jalen Wells has been really nice to start off the season. Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark, and off the bench, you get some snipers. Luke Kennard, Jay Huff, Santi Aldama. John Morant has a great assist opportunity here. We're seeing assist rates through the moon, knocks on the moon for him already this season. Fewer minutes for him and Scotty Barnes alongside each other now that you get a couple of these healthy pieces, including Luke Kennard out there. I think you got to be a little bit interested in John Morant double-double numbers. Maybe 8.5 ends up being the number. We could jam the assists alone, I suppose, but I'm going to be looking at double-double. I think you should too. Trust me. Build out on FanDuel or Caesars or wherever else. Just with the assist plus, 15 plus points, you might get an even better payout. That's for sure. 4 games to go. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell as we go to a game that is my favorite play on the entire board. And this opened at 5.5, gone sneakily up to 6 over at FanDuel.com, although tiny bit more juice. But I called this a like lock, and we haven't done this on one show all season long. So the lean like, hopefully we've explained enough, or hopefully I have, I'm the only person talking. A lean like, that is something that I'm thinking about betting, or that I've already bet that I could say, hey, it's a little bit thin. A like lock is something that I've bet for a half unit, but if you're looking for that lock, I know how many of you, hey, you tune in to get the locks. You want to know my favorite confidence play. I upgraded it simply for that point, but I know how much prop exposure and how many game totals and how many everything else I will be paying attention to here on Tuesday with 11 games in must-have, gotta-have-it spots for a couple of teams in this NBA Cup that I don't want to go out of my way to just force a unit for the sake of. But if you're watching this program, if you're tuning in to get my highest confidence play, I love getting 6 points here with San Antonio. Here's a couple of reasons why. First off, Jeremy Sohan, off the injury report, it's a left thumb injury for him too, his non-shooting hand. I think that this is a great opportunity for him to jump into massive minutes right from the get-go. Devin Vassell back off the bench. Keldon Johnson off the bench. I think this rotation might tighten up a little bit. Zach Collins being your backup 5, maybe 8.5 men. Stephon Castle's been a really nice rookie. I'd be remiss to not say he should see some rotation minutes as well. But Phoenix on the other side, yes, you have Booker, Beal, Durant, but it still feels like a forced identity, here on the Phoenix side, where always having to have Devin Booker or Kevin Durant with the ball in your hand and Bradley Beal being the cast-off who hasn't been as much of a knockdown shooter here of late. I think this is a great spot to be sneakily in on that 5.5. Get yourself some of this right now at 6 or better. I mean, again, 5.5, I probably would have just made this a straight out like, but I upgraded it to a lock at +6. Jump in, my highest confidence play as of right now, but I'm only invested in it for half a unit for myself right now. Hopefully that made some sense. Golden State, 5.5 points they're getting. That makes sense going up against Denver. Nikola Jokic playing massive minutes, and you just got to be paying attention to anything with a plus number in front of it that is him at triple-double numbers. Now, you're starting to see Jamal Murray have a little bit of a pulse. That is useful if you're a Denver fan. Plus Christian Brown playing some really nice minutes for them over the course of this season. You know what you're getting with Russell Westbrook every single time. But Denver, Aaron Gordon upgraded to probable. That is a huge deal. Now, it hurts the rebound numbers that I'm looking at here. Peyton Watson, he'll be sent to the Shadow Realm for a little bit. But Golden State on the other side of this one, I think they're going to try to change up some of these rotations going up against Denver with Aaron Gordon back in there. You could see Kuminga starting for this team going forward, especially with Draymond Green doubtful for this game. Kuminga, I know that they talked about not wanting to start him here in a lot of these spots, but I think him and Trace Jackson Davis with Gordon and Jokic makes the most sense. They can't really go to a small ball lineup early. Now, Kyle Anderson, I want to see where his props drop because he might be the guy who sees more minutes than expected. Doubtful to be Gary Payton or Moses Moody with the likes of Julian Strother and Dario Saric and whomever else they might try to fire up. And Peyton Watson specifically going to be your main backup there alongside Russell Westbrook on that second unit for Denver. But it's Jokic plus money triple doubles. You need to be paying attention to it. I'm calling it a lean like. I think we get plus 110 or better. That's why it's a lean like. I haven't bet it yet because the numbers aren't available, but it is such a number that's popping here. Anything better than that plus 105 number actually in my modeling looks as though it will be a play in this NBA Cup spot on Tuesday. Houston at Sacramento. I just want to give a shout out to Fred VanVleet. That's really all this comes down to. Plus, Malik Monk going to be starting for the Sacramento Kings going forward. It's not like the books don't know that, everybody. Just be careful of analysis where people start saying, hey, Malik Monk, he's going to be starting going forward. We should take the over on his points prop. That's just stuff that doesn't make sense to me. Books can see the same stuff. They better be really good at identifying who is starting in some of these games. You want to be sneaky about certain things and try to, find the unlikely starters to potentially take over on points early. And then you can take some unders as the public bets up guys like Malik Monk. But he's been looking really nice in that starting unit. It always made sense to start him over Kevin Huerter. Always made sense to start him over Jay Crowder. Why wouldn't you be doing that? But Fred VanVleet's been playing nice, knocking down shots. I think some of the rebound assist numbers are going to come along for the ride sooner rather than later. My favorite play popping right now, minus 120, bet 365, over 8.5 rebounds plus assists, but haven't bet it yet. Just keep it as a lean. And we'll get ourselves the heck up out of here. I've given you a lot of options and talk through things to pay attention to everywhere. There's not a lot to pay attention to here. Portland, somehow one of the easiest injury reports to figure out. Scoot Henderson, questionable, the only guy there. On the Clippers side, everybody who's out, Kevin Porter Jr., Kawhi Leonard, we know, PJ Tucker, we know, is gone away from the team. Is he even on the roster anymore? I don't even know. But Kobe Brown also out if you care about such things. All I know is that there's no injury news outside of Scoot Henderson, who's just abysmal. Yes, that will affect Simons and Sharp and whomever else, but I don't think a lot of you are running to bet overs or unders on either one of them here at the moment, so I get it. Over 218.5 is going to be a lean. I have this at 221, but it's not a play for me at that kind of a number, considering the VIG, minus 110. Yeah, just a thin, horrible game to finish out with. But shout out James Harden also doing insane things absent some of those other pieces. Kevin Porter Jr. gone. Oh yeah, you might see 38, 40 minutes of Harden. That's fun. And that does it for another edition of NBA Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. You know what to do. Go to that comment section below. Check out Lindy 60 as well while you're at it down there. Sign up at that link below at Tails by OddShopper. Would love to see you there. Follow me at Eric Lindquist over on X. And I will see you back here on Wednesday, Tuesday. Hopefully you're in that premium Discord. We can chat a little bit more then. Thank you, producer Jacob. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NBA streets on Tuesday.